Hi there. I'm Joanne with Financial Beginnings, where we empower youth and adults to take control of their financial futures. A college education can open so many doors, but the price tag keeps many of us from even considering it. But today, we'll demystify how you can actually make it happen by financing college. There are several different ways to finance your college education through things like savings, grants, loans, and scholarships. We'll discuss these options as well as others today. First, what savings have you set aside for your education? How about your parents? Be sure to have a transparent conversation with your parents about this as you're planning for school and outlining your options. www.collegecover.com is a website that has great tips for talking to your parents about exactly this. After considering what savings you and your parents might already have, you can finance college next with grants, which are funds you receive to pay for college that you don't have to repay. In order to find out your eligibility for grants, you'll have to fill out the FAFSA, which we'll cover in more detail in a few slides. Within this umbrella of grants, there are a few distinctions to remember. Federal Pell Grants are awarded to undergraduate participants who haven't yet earned a bachelor's or a professional degree. The maximum Pell Grant award is $6,345 annually for the 2020-2021 school year. The amount is determined by financial need, cost of attendance, full or part-time status, and whether or not you'll be attending the full academic year. The Federal Supplemental Education Opportunity Grant is administered directly by the Financial Aid Office at each participating school and is therefore called campus-based aid. Not all schools participate though, so check with your school's financial aid office to find out if the school you're considering offers the program. You can receive between $100,000 and $4,000 a year depending on need. A Teacher Education Assistance for College and Higher Education grant, or a TEACH grant, is different from other federal student grants because it requires you to take certain kinds of classes and that you work in a certain kind of job in order to qualify and receive the grant funds. If you fail to meet the requirements, these grants convert to loans and have to be repaid. The TEACH grant program provides up to $4,000 a year. Finally, to be eligible for the Iraq and Afghanistan Service Grant, your parent or guardian must have been a member of the U.S. Armed Forces and died as a result of military service performed in Iraq or Afghanistan after the events of 9/11. Scholarships are also forms of funding that you do not have to repay. There are thousands of scholarship opportunities available from all kinds of sources. Qualifications depend on each scholarship. It's absolutely possible to fund a big chunk of your college education through scholarships if you take your time for research and ask for help from the right people. Believe me, it is well worth the time, especially knowing it's free money. Some great places to start: your school's financial aid office, your college counselor at your high school, websites like Career One Stop and FastWeb, organizations within your community such as foundations, religious or community organizations, local businesses, and civic groups, organizations related to your field of interest who want to prop up future generations, ethnicity-based organizations, or your employer or your parents' employers. If you're unable to finance the entirety of your college degree through grants, scholarships, savings, and contributions from your parents, you may need to borrow money to fill the gap. Many of you might be turned off by student debt, but understand that you're leveraging this student loan debt in order to pursue your ideal career and to increase your earning potential. Student loan debt might sound prohibitive, but it can in fact be used to grow your wealth in the end. Borrowing to help pay for college makes sense because you'll be able to utilize future earnings to pay back the student loan debt. A word of caution though, be mindful of how much you borrow in student loans. It's very easy to get carried away if you're not tracking this amount. In order to ensure you don't borrow more money than you can handle, a good rule of thumb to remember is to borrow an amount no higher than what you expect to be paid in your first year after you graduate from college. For example, if you decide to become a high school teacher, the average starting salary is $50,000. That means you should not borrow more than $50,000 in student loans. This way, you'll be able to pay down your student loan debt without having issues of your payments eating into your budget for other important things like your rent or mortgage, food, or even some fun stuff you want to do like furnish your first home or travel. There are a number of different options for you when it comes to student loans. The first option is a federal student loan, which is a loan funded by the federal government to help pay for your education. A federal student loan is borrowed money you must repay with interest. The William D. Ford Federal Direct Loan Program is the largest federal student loan program. Under this program, the U.S. Department of Education is your lender, and there are 4 types. The direct subsidized loan is a loan made to eligible undergraduate participants who demonstrate financial need to help cover the costs of higher education at a college or career school. Direct unsubsidized loans are loans made to eligible undergraduate, graduate, and professional participants, but in this case, the student does not have to demonstrate financial need to be eligible. Direct Plus loans are loans made to graduate or professional participants and parents of dependent undergraduate participants to help pay for education expenses not covered by other financial aid. Finally, direct consolidation loans allow you to combine all of your eligible federal student loans into a single loan with a single loan servicer. It is important to exhaust the federal loans offered before seeking private student loans. Overall, federal loans are more affordable for a number of reasons. So, what are the main differences between federal and private student loans? Federal student loans are funded or insured by the U.S. Department of Education, where private loans are sourced from banks, credit unions, schools, or state agencies. When it comes to interest rates, federal student loans offer much lower fixed rates. They average anywhere between 3 to 8%, while private loans offer usually higher and variable interest rates, as high as 15%. Some federal student loans are subsidized, meaning that the government pays for the interest while you're in school, while interest accrues for private loans while you're in school. You don't have to start paying back your federal student loans until you graduate, leave school, or change your enrollment status to less than half time, while many private loans require payments when you're still in school. Next, interest may be tax deductible for federal student loans, but not for some private loans. Most federal student loans, except for PLUS loans, don't require a credit check, while private loans do. If you haven't established credit yet, you'll need a cosigner. Federal student loans can be consolidated into a direct consolidation loan, while private loans cannot. Federal student loans offer flexible repayment options, such as tying your monthly payment to your income. And finally, you may be eligible to have some portion of your loans forgiven if you work in public service. Private loans, on the other hand, do not have any forgiveness programs or special repayment plans. Overall, federal student loans offer the best bang for your buck with many benefits that private student loans do not provide. In order to qualify for federal student aid, which encompasses federal grants, loans, and work study, students will need to fill out the free application for student aid, or FAFSA. Remember, the first F in FAFSA stands for free. There is no need to pay anyone to help you complete the FAFSA. Look for free FAFSA completion workshops offered by your area high schools, colleges, and community organizations to help complete your FAFSA. When should you complete your FAFSA? Complete it the year before your first year in college. October 1st is the first day you can file, all the way up to June 30 the following year, though some colleges establish priority filing dates, which can be as early as December 1. Stay informed about specific deadlines set forth by your college of choice. Real-time help to complete your FAFSA is available on the FAFSA site as you fill out the application, and you can chat live with a customer service representative in a secure chat session. You can also get help by phone at 1-800-4FEDAID. Finally, don't assume that you aren't eligible to receive federal student aid. The FAFSA provides access to the largest source of college funding. That's $122.4 billion in federal grants, loans, and work study funds. Plus, your school and your state's higher education agency will also use it to determine your eligibility for their financial aid. So don't miss out on this opportunity, and be sure to add the FAFSA to your college application to-do list. If you have been granted DACA status, you may be eligible to complete the FAFSA, but you must first consult with your high school college counselor or the financial aid office for your best way forward. You can find more information about FAFSA qualifications at www.studentaid.gov. So get started now on financing your college education. Here's a recap to get you going. Remember, scholarships are essentially free money as long as you take the time to research and apply to as many as you qualify for. Next, remember to apply for federal student aid via the FAFSA the year before you plan to start college. After receiving your Student Aid Report, or SAR, which you receive after submitting the FAFSA, you'll be able to compare your financial aid awards. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has a great tool to compare your college costs and financial aid offers. Finally, understand your loans before accepting them. You should never take out debt without first having a plan for repayment, and be sure to calculate your estimated post-college student loan payment before taking out a loan. Thank you so much for your time today. We'll see you at our next webinar.